Absolutely. Have things gone well today?
Yes, but you guys are going to be the efficiency game changer this tax season. I can feel it.
That's it. That's what we're here for.
We need you. The IRS probably needs you, to be honest.
They're pretty chaotic over there.
They're
So
having a hard time.
I guess we're around if they need somebody. I think we
Y-
talk to them a lot on the phone. So,
yeah. We just need to figure out how we maybe just get you guys in charge over there.
well, you let me know when you talk to that guy.
I know,
Open
right?
to that conversation.
All right. We are going to take it away with our last sponsor of the day, Protection Plus, which I'm really excited to hear from. And Daniel is here to present and talk to us all about what Protection Plus is, how they're going to get me to stop pulling my hair out with all these IRS notices that are coming admittedly from the IRS for no reason in some cases. So, this is going to be an exciting presentation. So make sure you answer those polling questions. I'll keep the Q&A open. So if we have any questions that pop up, and Daniel, I'll let you take it away.
Fantastic. Can I share my screen? Is that okay?
Yeah, please, by all means.
Thanks for having us today. My name is Daniel Brinegar, and I'm here to talk to you about Protection Plus and all the fantastic benefits that I think that we bring as a company. Aside from the service and the product that we'll hop into, obviously, I think the company itself is fantastic. It's a great culture. The way we operate with integrity. We try to be transparent in all of our dealings with all of our firms. So I hope you can know that the service and the product is fantastic. It really sells itself. I'll say that. We just have to educate folks on how it works and how it can work inside of your firm and work best for you. Because at the end of the day, Protection Plus is there to augment the services that you're already providing, make those better, more streamlined, make your firm more efficient, and maybe make you a little bit extra money, on the back end of that as well. So briefly, I'll give you a quick history on Protection Plus, kind of how we got started and how we are where we're at today. I think that's always helpful to give a little bit of a background just on us. So, Protection Plus has been around for about 20 years. Protection Plus itself as a company. It started with, I believe it was two guys in Jackson, Mississippi, that they created what they called an audit defense product to do generally what we do today of hey, we see the pain points of firms and tax professionals of having to deal with these letters, notices, things like that. It can be oftentimes cumbersome work and low value work. So let's give them a place to outsource that. So fantastic idea. And it was a product that people sold across the table, right? I think we're all familiar with that process as you're finalizing a tax return. You're sitting there with your client and, hey, for X amount of dollars, you can purchase this add-on, audit defense service. So I think we're all familiar with what that kind of landscape looks like. So 10 years ago, our current owners bought it and our executive leadership team, and they kind of put their spin on it as far as the technological advancements that they could bring, that sort of specialty, as well as our CEO has a large background in insurance and delivering third-party products as for the banking industry. So he's very familiar on how services like Protection Plus work. And so he put his touch on it. And I think in the last 10 years, we've seen fantastic growth within our company. And I think that we're becoming a little bit more of a household name within the tax industry for how we can help firms. So to give you an idea of the size of Protection Plus, we're dealing with about 20 million taxpayers have availability to our service. So we offer our services on the professional side. So that's more along this group and the folks that we're talking with today. But anytime you see a consumer product out there, I'm not going to say anytime, but I'd say the majority of them, when you're seeing a consumer product, a lot of times that is us, that is kind of a white labeled audit defense solution. So we're doing this for a number of different people, and we do it in a number of different ways. And so again, as we're talking to all today, I want to make sure you think of those ideas that how this can be helpful inside of your firm. How do you take the benefits that Protection Plus provides and say, oh, well, I could really take that and spin it and use it inside of my firm, and I think it would make my practice better. So again, we're talking and working with about 50,000 tax professionals across the country. So we definitely have a large team to be able to service these things, and we do it at scale. We do this every single day. All of our EAs, CPAs, and tax attorneys that work for Protection Plus, which is around 100, they're all in the States here, our W-2 employees, and this is what they do full time. For some reason, they might be crazy, but they love handling tax resolution and giving this service and value to taxpayers. Because
All
that,
of us that deal with taxes have to be a little bit crazy. So I think you're talking to the right audience, that's for sure.
oh, well, that's good to hear. I mean, I'm a little nuts myself, I will say that. So, to continue on, I think it's also helpful before we get into about Protection Plus, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but to give you some data points that you might be feeling inside your firm, and just some things that we've picked up on. Again, this is what we do all the time. We've been doing it for a long time. And so right now you can see some of the challenges that you might be facing, such as the taxpayer services crisis.
Mm,
The taxpayer advocate service, I think they had a pretty large reduction in staff. So
hmm.
that's going to hurt, right? As you're trying to call in and or have your clients call in and get some expertise or help on that front. That'll be a little bit painful this year, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
that's really, really a concern because that taxpayer advocate service was kind of our last line of defense in terms of like getting things resolved when we were having difficulty with resolution. And to that, like after the IRS saw most of their staffing cuts, that was still sort of the place that I was able to point people, and now that's slowing down too.
yeah, absolutely. And like you said, Christine, the IRS, they're a little chaotic right now. I'll say a little.
I was gonna say that was a nice, graceful,
it's
graceful description.
right. And we've seen it. I mean, even in the last year, it was, hey, we're going to hire a lot of people, we're going to hire a lot of staff, make this huge investment. And then maybe 6 months ago, that was kind of cut back as well,
Hmm.
actually, we're going to lay off, I think we see right there 31% reduction in revenue agents. And so then I saw an email or article last week where they're trying to get some of those employees that we let go to come back to the IRS because I think they might be seeing some of the difficulties and how long it takes to train an IRS, how knowledgeable they really are, and how long it takes to be able to get good at that job and do it efficiently, right? And it's not easy. So I think this year, particularly, we're going to see a lot of pain points in that area. Then we can talk about the Taxpayer Protection Program, which is different than the Taxpayer Advocate Service. Obviously, the Taxpayer Protection Program is going to cater more to identity theft issues, which is a part of the Tax Protection Plus product. It is something we service. So you can see where those answer rates and the resolution times are getting pretty lengthy, right? Almost, I mean, a year and a half nearly for a resolution time on identity theft issue, that's tough, right? Because although you may have started the process to get the identity restored, somebody's got to track that and follow that process to make sure
Hmm.
things are getting done, even if it's, checking a little box here and there. Um, Protection Plus tries to give you a place to augment that service so you're not having to do as much of that. And again, the processing, I think it'll be really interesting to see how that stuff rolls out this year with everything that's going on with the IRS. So, enough about the little background. Thank you for letting me roll through that. But I think we'll hop into Protection Plus about what it is and how it helps firms and how we're seeing it really grow and really be a value add, not only for the tax professional in their firm, but the taxpayer and the end client as well. So there are three core benefits, and we'll get in depth about all three of these. But the three core benefits of Protection Plus are $1 million in tax protection, which all that means, it's very simple, is we will spend $1 million in our resources getting the best resolution possible for your client on any letter, notice, or audit. So it's very simple on how that works, and I'll hop into it here on the next slide. But the next benefit is identity theft restoration, like we talked about with the taxpayer protection program. How it kind of can be a resource in that realm with identity theft restoration, and that can be for tax scenarios such as fraudulent or rejected filings, and then also for any life scenarios that we see that are very common that I think your clients as taxpayers are going to be very aware of, right? My bank accounts are getting hacked more often, my credit cards, socials, phishing emails are going out more and more, right? They're much more susceptible to identity theft um, than they may have been a year or two ago. And so I think at this point with identity theft restoration, or identity theft itself, it's out there and all of our identities
Hmm.
are probably stolen, but it's just they haven't been used yet. So when that happens, what's the defense against that look like?
Yep.
And then lastly is our $2,500 tax preparation guarantee. And again, we'll get into the weeds about all this stuff, but all that means is that if you happen to make an error preparing a tax return, which I know this crowd, everybody has probably never ever made an error one single time,
Not
but
once ever. Just
it,
in case, though.
right, just in case. And and we'll get into the details about what each one of these means and specifics. And if you ever have any questions about this, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll answer them, while we're rolling through it or at the end. I'm good either way. I'm here to be a resource today. So the first benefit, our $1 million in tax protection. Again, what that means is we will spend $1 million in our services getting the best resolution for your client on any letter, notice, or audit from either the state taxing authorities or the IRS, which is very helpful, especially when we think about some states may be a little more particular and tougher to deal with than others. But that resource is there for you now. Again, we have about 100 EAs, CPAs, and tax attorneys on staff. And when you think about how does that $1 million get exhausted and will we really spend that? Absolutely. We are committed to spend that on every issue that you have if we have to do that. We're legally backed and guaranteed to be able to offer those services. Um, so with the tax protection, I think what you'll find oftentimes is it's really low value, cumbersome work inside the office when these letters and notices come in, because
Hmm.
absolutely we will service a full blown audit, right? We do those, and that's in the contract, and that's something if it makes it up to tax court, right? We're going to fly an EA or a CPA or an attorney to you, have them stay on site if we have to do a site visit, right? That's where that $1 million will really come in. But this can give you a way to lead that charge in your office as far as, you can be the face of the resolution, but you're not having to do all the work, right? So
Hmm.
instead of 100% of the resolution that you probably didn't plan on, right? Maybe you're there in the middle of tax season and it's March and or heck, even closer to April 15th, right? The filing day or whatever day it may fall on, right? You can be slammed. And when somebody comes in with this letter or notice, because you did their tax return, you as the tax preparer and tax professional, you probably feel like you have a little bit of an obligation to service that, right? Make your client get that peace of mind that they had. And this is what that can do now. Now, instead of taking time out of your day to have to hop onto that letter or notice immediately and get a resolution, maybe you have to sit on the phone for 4 hours with the IRS or the state, whoever it may be, right? This is where Protection Plus is really helpful. You can get all that time back, or you can allocate your staff to do other things, right, that are more billable, more valuable as far as bringing in revenue for your firm. So quantify the time that you're spending on these issues, and then as we talk about pricing here later in the presentation, I think you'll see that we do it at a pretty neat price point. I think you'll really enjoy that.
I know you're going to talk about pricing, but I do just want to comment, like, from a practitioner standpoint, especially now, like, we see higher volume notices on returns than we ever did 5, 10 years ago. And sometimes they're silly things and they're easily resolved, but the time that it takes to have to stop what we're doing, go collect the documents needed, make sure that we write the response, make sure it gets out in some version of certified mail, make sure that all that gets saved to the client file, and it's just like the stress that it creates for the client at the same time. Like, even if I know that responding to a notice is something silly and easy to resolve, the client could get 3 more notices over the next 90 days before the IRS is actually going to take our response and address it. And my only alternative is to sit on the phone for 4 hours. So I have to be honest, from the practitioner perspective, that your price is worth this service all by itself, because it is a tremendous amount of time that we're starting to spend on servicing responses to notices that in a lot of cases just don't have a lot of bearing on something. It's truly like a miscommunication issue across these IRS departments.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it right there. And a stat that we actually have pulled from the data that we have over all the years been doing this, that take this one home, is 52% of the IRS letters and notices that are getting sent out are just incorrect, right?
Mhm.
We look at them, and like you said, it's an easy fix. But the thing with the IRS and our taxing authorities, which is right, wrong, or indifferent is that you're guilty until you're proven innocent. It's
Yeah.
not the other way around. So even if it is these simple letters like CP 2000s or things like that, right? There are certain issues that you can resolve in 30 minutes, maybe an hour, but somebody has to do it. And when you're sitting
Mhm.
there, right, it's not like you can just ignore it. And your client's going to want you to take care of that pretty quickly. And so instead of having to take time out of your day, out of the perfect flow state that you've gotten in, right? You have a place that can work directly, but behind the scenes for you, or we can work directly with your client. Our goal is to be an augmentation of what you're already doing, and just simply enhance your services that you're already providing to your clients. So we'll move on from the tax protection. If there are any questions that pop in, I don't see a chat on my screen. So if anything comes up, feel free to stop me, and I'm more than happy to address things. So the identity theft restoration, again, a really neat benefit that I think is maybe more prevalent today than it ever has been, because we see uh, hospitals or law firms or whatever it may be, we see identity issues pop up all the time, and we're seeing them in the news, where we see millions of social security numbers stolen or whatever it may be. And that's why I make that comment of all of our information is as digitally connected as most of us are these days. A lot of our information has already been out there. Now, whether it's been sold on the black web or dark web and been used yet, that's for us to find out later. But it's out there, right? And your,
Mhm.
your clients and the taxpayers are seeing this in the news as far as they're probably not following the tax legal side of thing, like new tax updates and stuff, but they are seeing identity theft issues. And so for them, this is a very, very useful and valuable benefit. And again, I love to preach the fact that our identity theft restoration is a little bit different from a lot of your name brands that you're going to see that you could work with. In the fact that we offer identity theft restoration for tax scenarios. So again, if you're going to file that return and it's getting rejected, we have a team, and they're our in-house team. They can walk through that process, and again, we can take time out of our day because it's what we plan for. That's the service that we provide, is to be on the phone with your client or yourself and say, hey, until we get this resolved, I'm going to sit on this 3 hour phone call with you, right? To kind of offer that white glove service that you wish as a tax professional is maybe you're the only person in the office, or maybe there's two or three of you that hold a lot of weight, right? So instead of taking 3 hours out of your day to do that, you can know that you have an expert resolution team that can handle that and will handle it in the manner that you would want your clients to be handled with Protection Plus. So the identity theft restoration, again, it also works on everything that what we know and what we understand is identity theft, right? Bank accounts, social security numbers. Hey, my credit card got hacked. And another interesting fact about our identity theft restoration is that this is applicable to anybody that's on the tax return. So if you have, a spouse or maybe your kids are on the tax return, I love to say this is a great way for like a family identity theft plan. And then once their ID is restored, we do monitor their credit for up to a year. So if anything does happen after the fact, we're going to know about it and notify you and your clients as well.
That's amazing. I did not know that it applied to everybody on the return. That's fantastic.
Yep, I think it's the best family identity theft plan that you're going to find out there. I
Yeah.
truly, coupled with our tax protection. And so the last benefit that we'll talk about today is our $2,500 tax preparation guarantee. The tax prep guarantee, what it means is that if you, as a preparer, or somebody inside your firm is helping you prepare tax returns, say you happen to make a mistake, you fat finger a number, maybe some pages got stuck together, or whatever it may be, some calculations weren't as accurate as they could have been, and because of that error that you made, your client is starting to receive these letters or notices or notifications that, hey, you owe penalties, interest, additional fees, tax obligations. What Protection Plus commits to do is to reimburse and make that client whole, or yourself, up to $2,500. So it's not E&O insurance. I like to say it kind of covers the scrapes and bruises. You still need to have E&O insurance, or you should.
Yeah.
Um, but if, say, you were going to pay a claim, you could use this $2,500 to pay that deductible. You could do that. So this is a very neat and interesting benefit. And I'll also add on that with the advancement of AI and technology in the tax industry and the tax space, that's kind of it's starting to make a little headway, I think, as far as seeing the softwares integrate some new products and come up with things that they're going to release to the tax professionals here in the next couple of years. Is that as these 1040s and business returns are going to get a lot of times pre-filled, right? The clients will bring you documents, and maybe that return will almost get pre-filled from the AI and technology, where you as a
Mhm.
preparer are really having to just kind of sign off on it as the end. Well, this is a good benefit that's going to give you kind of that peace of mind where because I think we're all going to be a little bit skeptical about
Mhm.
technology and AI, how it advances. I mean, I know even me, right? If I'm going to use Chat GPT for something, I'm always double, triple, quadruple checking to make sure that the information's right,
Mhm.
that sort of thing. So I think we're going to have that same feeling about kind of these tax preparation AI tools that are going to roll out in the next couple months or years. And so anyway, as long as you, the tax preparer, are signing off on that return, this guarantee applies. If you're using any AI for tax research, maybe it hallucinates a little bit and misinform your client. And because of that misinformation, these sorts of penalties, fees, interest things come up. Could happen. And again, now you kind of have that peace of mind as a tax professional. But also, as you're talking to your clients, you should convey to them that I'm so confident in my work that I guarantee my work up to $2,500. If I happen to make a mistake, if the software happens to miscalculate something, you have something that you can make your client whole with. That a lot of times, in a lot of instances and cases that I see, is just the tax professional or the firm paying out of pocket, right? They did the return,
Right.
they feel bad, they don't want to go make an E&O claim because it's only 500 or 600 bucks,
Yep.
but we got to make the client whole some way, so I'm just going to pay that out of pocket. No longer do
Mhm.
you have to do that, right? You have a place that guarantees the work that'll fulfill that claim, oftentimes the same day, so it's a very quick turnaround.
The thing that's really beautiful about this, like the whole package, the audit support is that this creates an opportunity for a small tax practitioner like us, or like the audience today. We're a smaller firm that I can provide the same level of guarantee as some of these big box shops. Like, normally, I can't compete with that. I can't provide unlimited audit support to all of our clients because it would, in a situation where an audit is going to take a lot of time, that would be astronomically expensive for us. But this gives us the ability to kind of compete with that a little bit more, to say, hey, we have these guarantees and these backings behind our work, and be a little bit more competitive with some of the bigger, I call them box shops, and we won't name any names, but just a really different ball game for smaller practitioners.
I absolutely agree. And what we'll get to here in a second is not only is I think the service and the value there as far as what the product offers, but there's that revenue aspect of it as well, where
Yeah.
you put more money in your pocket. I mean, you really can. You're saving time on things that you haven't saved time on in the past, and you're going to make more money at the end of it. Pretty good recipe for success, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's an argument to be had too, to presenting your clients with, maybe you raise every return by $10 for the year or something like that. You have an opportunity to say, we're providing more value and we're going to adjust the price a little bit accordingly, but look at all of the back end value that we're now being able to provide on the returns that we're preparing for you.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you'll make your money back, almost tenfold. I think if you sit there and really add it up on
For
where it.
sure.
So, briefly, because I think I might be going a little long, I want to make sure we get through everything. Um, I want to talk about what the notice and audit resolution process deals or looks like. Sorry, Christine, should I do something with this?
Yeah,
Right.
no, we'll just leave it up for a quick second. So we'll let everybody answer the first polling question. And just a reminder, make sure you pop your answer in if you're looking for your CPE credits. This is a great question. Do you spend unnecessary amount of time when you have to deal with the IRS? If anybody answers no to this, I really need to talk to you after the webinar is over, because I need to know what you're doing that you're not spending unnecessary amounts of time dealing with the IRS. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, we'll give everybody about 15 seconds to make sure that you get that polling question answered, and then we'll pop back in because I'm excited for this next slide. I know that you guys have a really seamless process, and I want everybody else to see this. And Daniel, I'm sure that you will at the end, but we do have one question about pricing, and I just want to make sure that before we wrap up, that we get those questions answered as well. All right,
Absolutely.
5 more seconds. Get those answers in. 3, 2, 1. What's the results? I'm dying to know.
Oh, do I need to pull the results? This is me.
100%.
Well, I'm not clapping because
No, but I was gonna be like, I don't know who's on here who's gonna say no. I mean, tell me what your secret is. Tell us all what your secret is.
so let's talk a little bit about the resolution process, like what it looks like for you as a tax professional. When you enroll with Protection Plus, what does the case process look like? How do I open up one? What kind of interface do I have? How am I communicating with either the Protection Plus employees? How are they communicating with their clients? Right. I want to answer a lot of those questions right here.
Perfect.
So it's a six-step process for us. Again, we have a large team. We're very efficient at this. We've built out processes that we know work. And again, issues might be different. We have specialized teams depending on what the issue is. They're hardly ever do we see an issue for the first time. And the good thing is when we see an issue and we get an answer for it, we're able to scale that and apply that to all the letters notices that oftentimes come in because these are generated by technology and AI. And so oftentimes they're very, they can be simple or basic, but they're just asking somebody to pay $200, right? But if they send that to 20 million people and they know 10 million people are just going to pay that $200, that's a pretty good day for the IRS. Well, don't
Yeah.
do that anymore. You have a place and with Protection Plus that even though it's 100, 200, whatever it may be, shoot that over to us and let us get it figured out so your client or yourself aren't having to pay that just because you don't want to spend time on it, right? So the first thing that we do is when that letter notice arrives, your client's probably going to come into your office crying and saying, "Oh, what am I supposed to do?" Right? This can be a very frantic moment for them. But Protection Plus, the only two things that we need are the letter of notice that they got and the original tax return that notice is applying to. That's the only two things that we need to start the case process. So I'll show you what we have as our what we call our pro portal, where you can drop all of these documents that we would use to get the resolution, and that'll be coming up here in the next slide or two. But once that case is opened, within 24 to 72 business hours, our team is going to get you back what we call a professional case assessment or a case assessment package. And what that's going to say is, hey, very layman terms of, hey, this is why you got the letter or notice and this is what we're going to do about it. And I have an example right here that I'll show you. Again, we make this very neat. We can either use the Protection Plus logos or we can use, logos within inside your firm if you were wanting to white label us as a solution. So you'll see included in the assessment package is a number of forms. And again, this can change depending on what the issue is, right? We might need less forms, we may need more forms. And then if we were going to work directly with your client, we have an upload link that we could send to your client, or we could send them this case assessment. And then they could just upload their documents through that. You're going to have your direct contacts for the case. So if you're having issues or you need to call in, instead of you calling into Protection Plus and maybe getting a sales rep like Daniel Brinegar or whoever it may be, you're going to get the specialist that's working and familiar with your case, which I think is very helpful. You have a direct line to the person that is actually having eyes and doing your case, right? But we're going to write this out in very simple terms, especially if we're going to write it to a taxpayer like your clients. It's going to be different than if we wrote it to somebody that we know understands the IRS lingo. Um, so again, we'll provide instructions here of here's the forms we need. And then we'll even provide those forms in there for things that we need signed to continue to move that process forward. So, as you guys know, depending on whether we're working for the firm or the tax professional, or if we're working with the taxpayer directly, that document gathering phase can either be very quick or it can take a little bit. I'm sure you guys have experienced that before where you're ready to knock it out and you're just waiting on that one form from your client that's on vacation for a month, right?
Mhm.
So, very tough, right? And again, maybe not the hardest things to do, but very cumbersome. It takes time. Again, somebody's having to track these things. Somebody's having to say, "Oh yeah, we need to do that." So instead of that all going to your plate, you have a team that can do that. So once we get all the documents that we need, we're going to create the portfolio. And the IRS is very particular on and how they like these things templated and formatted. And again, I think we write these very plain and simple. We like to say that anytime we communicate with the IRS, we're going to communicate like they're a first grader. We don't want any mishaps. We don't want anything to be misconstrued. We want to be very simple, very concise. And so again, you can kind of see the uh, the work that we do, and I think this is just great to have as an example. And then also, you're going to see a table of contents right here. So as the IRS, if anything that they need in particularly is going to be right here, they can find it and get to it pretty quick. I think this one is about 70 pages long. I have another example that I'll pop up very briefly that's about 300 pages because, as you know, once you submit these responses, it can be a sit and wait game. And then by the time they get back to you, they might say, ah, this isn't that great, and you have to do it again. So, again, all
Yeah.
of it's covered with Protection Plus. You don't have to spend your time putting this all in a nice, neat package for them. We have teams that can do this and take that workload away from you.
Now, is the process the same? Like, say I want to help manage this process for my client. So I don't want to do everything that you guys are going to do, but maybe I already have a lot of the documents that you need and I want to make my client feel like we just have it under control. There's nothing that we need from you. Is the process the same where the firms could upload the documents on behalf of the clients?
Absolutely. So we use what we call Box. It's a share file, similar like a Google Drive or anything like that, right? Very compliant as far as we hold ourselves to a high standard of making sure any type of data that is sensitive about your client, we treat that like it's our babies. So please, no worries about that. But absolutely, we encourage that. So whenever you drop that letter or notice and the tax return in to open up your case, you're more than well to drop any supporting documents that you will know we'll need, right? Probably, most
Yeah,
likely, 2821, maybe a 2848, whatever it may be. You can go ahead and drop those in there, and we have teams that will sort those documents. Don't feel like you have to do it in a very pretty or fancy way, right? As long as it's in there, if you have an entire profile on your clients that you can just drop in there, we'll pick and choose and sort through those documents, grab what we need, and apply them to their respective spaces. So
nice.
that definitely uh, is a catalyst to the speed in which we can do things because I think the
Sure.
document gathering phase can be a lot of times some of the longer. Um, so as long as you guys have that information, please feel free to go ahead and drop it in there. We'll sort through it. We'll grab what we need. If we don't need it, we'll put it right back.
Great.
And so once we submit that portfolio, as mentioned, it can be a waiting game at that point. But what we want to make sure and ensure is that you're not sitting around waiting, wondering what's going on. So whether we hear a response from the IRS or not, you're going to hear from our team every 7 days. So
Oh,
say
wow.
it's submitted today. If we don't hear anything within a week, you'll get a notification from whoever's working your case or your account manager, perhaps, saying, "Hey, we still haven't heard anything, but just updating you that we haven't heard anything yet, and we'll let you know whenever it comes in." But again, every 7 days, we're making sure that we're communicating with you on where we're at in that process, whether things have come back and we've got to rebuild another portfolio, maybe we need more documents, or hey, it's submitted, it's taken care of, here's the resolution, whatever it may be. And again, sorry, Christina, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask now, this comes up a lot, right? And I know that, you guys, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that you're working with the IRS very high volume. They're used to working with you. They've been working with you for a long time. So I would imagine that there's some efficiencies there that maybe like a small practitioner I can't compete with because I'm not communicating with them at the same level of volume. But this happens a lot where like we've submitted a response to something and then another department at the IRS is going to computer generate a notice, same notice again, maybe 30 days later because first department that I've sent my response to hasn't done anything with it yet.
Yeah.
Um do I like upload that second copy of the notice to the case? Like, is there a way to like make you aware, hey, the client is still receiving the same communication if that's something that comes up?
Yeah, absolutely. I would upload it right into the box, or the client portal, the pro portal, and notify the team. Just because you upload something, it'll notify us, but it's always nice to have that kind of email, and that paper trail of, hey, they got this other letter, and we'll take it from there and we'll handle it. Because again, we might have some information of why that happened, whatever it may be.
Right.
Um, and people ask us all the time, do we have a bat phone to the IRS and a back line? And no, we don't. But you think about how much we call them, and I think
Right.
organically, I don't know this for a fact, but I think organically you build relationships with people, right?
Yes. Yep.
And it's like, hey, this is the third time this week we've talked to each other, and they start to get to know each other, and whatever it may be. I've
Well,
heard.
like you said too, I mean, I like to think that at this point in my career, I've seen a lot of the things, but the sheer volume of how much of this you're managing means that it's very, very unlikely that I'm ever going to send you something that someone in the organization at Protection Plus has not already dealt with. So you're just better set up to respond to the things that I'm having to deal with more efficiently than me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might get 5 letters a year, but every single time you get one of those, and if they're all different, you have to go back and what's the tax law? How's it
Yeah.
changed this year? How's the response, right? And it's
What does the IRS want for a response?
absolutely, and all that stuff that adds up, and that's the time that you should really be thinking about of that you're spending on these. That okay, well, if I didn't do that at all, how many hours is that? What is that dollar amount? And is that better or worse than what we could do with Protection Plus? Because I can guarantee that our results are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Again, we've done this for a long time. We get these letters and notices, so it might be the first time you've seen it. It's probably the 10,000th time that we've. So
Perfect.
absolutely. So we'll keep moving. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but it is just a brief little case study on a gambling issue because I think, especially as we see things start to get legalized, I want to talk about like gambling, perhaps. Like the crypto world. Like
Yeah.
we've even come across a couple things. I don't know that this is the proper name, but emoji audits, where right somebody's having to scroll through somebody's Venmo account or Cash App
Yes.
and because they have a tire on there, right? What does that mean? Like somebody's gonna have to go through all these certain documents. Anyway, we have teams that are specializing in trying to stay ahead in all of these fields that can be kind of niche. But anyway, I like showing this because it does give a brief overview on the timeline of things. And again, you see we've had to submit a couple portfolios to the IRS, but you can see where we've submitted things and how long you're having to sit there and wait. And again, I'm sure this is a familiar process, but you as the professional and the person filing the tax return for your clients, this is stuff that you have to track and be aware of. Um,
Mhm.
Now, instead of you having to spend that mental effort or be like, oh, I need to check this or do that, you have a team that's going to feed you that information and be handling all the heavy lifting. So you're going from doing 100% of the notice resolution work to maybe 98% of it, right? You're dropping a document in there and you're making sure it looks good. Then other than that, you can be as hands off or as hands on as you'd like. So, um, and
And did
again,
I read this right? In this particular case study, this client ended up with a refund after the initial notice said $90,000 were due?
absolutely. Because, what I think is really neat about our team, and I think this is just a reflection of our culture at Protection Plus, is that we don't just want to do something, but we want to do something really well and be the best at it. We kind of have
Yeah.
that pride and confidence about us, I think. So we love beating the IRS, like we love telling them they're wrong. And it's like we'll give you an extra punch in the face there. If we can dig a
If we
little.
can win.
Right? Our goal is not to just get a resolution. We're here to get the best resolution possible. And we have
That's
plenty of
awesome.
stories, things like this. Um, I don't have the business case for this case study, but I think it was 3 weeks ago we had a client that we saved almost $800,000 for, which is
Stop it.
oh, wow. I mean, it is. And so we do fantastic work. I love to brag on our case team because obviously they're not all the time the most frontward facing to our customers, especially in atmospheres like this, but they do great work. And I want to give them the kudos because they are why Protection Plus is what we are today. So just fantastic people to work with, and they do a great job, and they really care about their jobs, which you're not going to find at every company. So.
No, for sure. So I want to be mindful of time. We have about 5 minutes and then I want to open it up for questions. So I just want to make sure that I give you the opportunity for anything else that we haven't touched on yet.
Absolutely. So I think the best thing we can do, I'll real slow through these right here about this is the interface for the pro portal. So this is what you would see as the tax professional on the back end. Um,
Nice.
you can see these things, but I think what I really want to talk about is the pricing really quick. So um, everything we've talked about today applies the same on a 1040 or an 1120, 1120s, or 1065. It's $10 per individual return and $75 for business returns. You can choose to either have this protection applied to all your individuals or all your individuals and your business returns. What I suggest and what I think is the most lucrative and the easiest way to do it is to simply, and Christine, you've touched on this, is simply roll these fees into your client's preparation fees.
Yep.
Um, so if you charge $100 for a tax return, now charge 110 and you'll break even. But what I highly suggest and what most of our firms do is we're going to raise them 15 or $20. So it's going to pass that cost on to the client. I'm also going to get some extra money in my pocket. And then as these issues come in, understand that every single person that does a tax return with you is covered. So that's the pitch. That's the value for the tax professional as you're communicating these things to your clients is,
For
hey,
sure.
when you come do your taxes with me, I'm going to give you $1 million in tax protection. So if you have any letter, notice, or audit, I'm going to service it. And we're not going to charge you any more. I have an expert resolution team that can handle these issues for you. We also are going to provide identity theft restoration for you and whoever else is on that tax return. And I'm so confident in my work that I guaranteed up to $2,500. So that's the spin that you can have to your clients that is going to hopefully differentiate you a little bit from the tax shop down the street or next door, right? Because instead of selling them this service, this is what you're giving to them.
Yes. Yep.
I think that's a
Absolutely.
fantastic value add.
And those fees are like, I can't see any of our clients complaining about a $10 increase to their return for that much value that they're receiving on the back end. If anything, I can see them emailing us being like, "Why didn't you do this sooner?" I mean, that's just exactly, the perspective to take. Melissa does have a question about the $2,500 preparer guarantee. She's asking, is that per season or per return?
Per return.
Thank you.
All the benefits today, the $1 million in tax protection, ID theft restoration, and the tax preparer guarantee, that is all for every single return. So every return you file has every one of those benefits.
Now, I have a question for you. Does this only apply to e-filed returns, or what happens in situations where we have, as practitioners, have to paper file a return?
So if you're paper filing, we just ask that you report those to us because
Yep.
we won't know that you're filing
See
those.
it. Yep.
We're integrated with all the tax softwares, so whatever tax software you're using, we're integrated inside that. And so if you're e-filing, we automate those reports. And then if you are going to paper file, just report that to us, and we'll keep a little record. Even if it's something as simple as an Excel sheet of, hey, it was this client on this day, and so if they did happen to call in and say, hey, my tax professional told me about this, that we have record that they did their taxes with you.
Perfect. Do we want to open it up to other Q&A?
Let's open it
Every
up.
Everybody's been so quiet. I think you have them mesmerized. So let's take, if you guys have questions, we'll do the final polling question, but also if you have questions that you want Daniel to answer, pop them into the Q&A or to the chat box. But yes or no, do you want to learn more information about Protection Plus? I have to be honest with you, and this is my fault because we've used Pro Series forever, which you guys have an integration with. And I never really took the time to dig into Protection Plus, but I spent a lot of time talking to the team that went to Scaling New Heights this year. And after talking to them, I was like, this is a no brainer. This is so silly of me to have not been using all of this time. And like I said, especially with all the IRS issues that we're seeing right now, it's just not something that our firm can reasonably efficiently continue to address and address effectively in a timely manner for our clients. And like you said, even just tracking them, what's the status of this? When are we going to hear something? So I'm excited for us to be able to implement this for this upcoming season. All right, we'll give that about 15 more seconds. Make sure you answer that last polling question. I know it's getting to be late afternoon. Everybody's ready for their coffee and their chocolate chip cookies.
I'm ready for NFL football.
You're the second football person today.
First,
Oh,
first
I
game
didn't
of the
even
day.
ask you our question of the day. I didn't ask you what your favorite fall activity was.
My favorite fall activity. Well, I'm a big golfer, so I love to golf all the time, but specifically fall, I love chicken stews.
Oh, that's a good one.
I
My
love
mother-in-law makes a really mean chicken stew.
we've been doing it for years in our family where we get everybody together and everybody from the community comes and we probably had 400 people last year. And it was
That's awesome.
bluegrass music. I mean, we do it.
You do it right.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Always bring your Texas Pete to a chicken stew. Don't forget that.
All right. Good note. Good note. All right. 30 more seconds. If you haven't asked your question yet and you have any follow-up questions for Daniel, put them into the Q&A. Alfredo says he raised his return prices by $250 per return. He's going to coach us on our next webinar to work on our profit margins. That's incredible. But um, Daniel, two quick questions. This has been the rapid fire question of the day. If you had to sum up Protection Plus's benefits in 2 bullet points, what would they be?
Number one is we take low value work that you don't want to do, make it profitable, and make your lives easier.
You don't even need the second bullet point.
And number two is we'll keep it. I think you will genuinely love working with Protection Plus and the staff at Protection Plus when you enroll. I mean, we have a fantastic culture. Again, our groups and teams they're so smart, they're amazing. I pinch myself every day that I get to work for a company that
Oh, you never hear that. I love that.
I hope that can be reflected, through the way I speak. But I think if you speak with some of my other colleagues, they're going to be the exact same way.
Awesome. And last question, if someone's interested in getting started with Protection Plus, what's their next step?
If you go to taxprotectionplus.com, that's our website, and you can get any of your answers through there. Feel free to reach out to me directly. My email is daniel.brinegar@taxprotectionplus.com. So
Awesome.
please feel free to reach out to me. I'll get you pointed in the right place. But if you just hit contact us and connect with us on our website, we'll have somebody reach out to you maybe before the end of the day today, actually.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Daniel. I very much appreciate your time. This was fantastic. I'll reach out to you directly because we're going to be definitely ready to go for this upcoming tax season. But I appreciate you being here and taking the time to talk about Protection Plus with us.
Well, thank you for having me, and thanks everybody for being such a great audience and very attentive. I love the questions. And if you guys ever need anything, I'm on the road all the time. You'll see me at all kinds of shows, IRS shows, software shows. Please come up and say, hey, I love to meet everybody. It's a fantastic industry. So,
Awesome. Thank you. Well, Daniel was our last sponsor of the day. So thank you guys all for hanging in with us. I know that it was a long afternoon full of lots and lots of information, but hopefully you got some great benefits out of it. And we will see you on our next event. Have a great afternoon.
Are you an accounting or tax professional who wants to stay ahead without spending a dime? Join thousands who trust insightful accountant and tax practice news to keep them informed and empowered. Get expert updates on QuickBooks, Xero, tax planning strategies, and workflow tips delivered straight to your inbox. Whether you're a solo bookkeeper, firm leader, or tax advisor, these newsletters are your shortcut to what's next in the profession. They're free, practical, and built for people like you. Visit insightfulaccountant.com and hit subscribe to start your smarter workflow today for free.